Happy Wednesday to you. My name is Tatum Guinn, mostly lovingly referred to as that girl on TV. If you don't know, I am one of the anchors over at News West, and I'm also the host of this fantastic event. And I am just so excited to have this opportunity to share a conversation and a book reading with native West Texan and also newly published author Rebekah Manley. Again, I'm just so excited to be here tonight and how very 2021 of us, right? You know, we can't all be together, but I think this is just such a wonderful way. You know, we're trying new innovative things to be together while also apart. So, you know, I wish that we could all be in person and I could see all of your faces and, you know, look around the room, pause for applause. I still might do that tonight. So when I pause, we'll give a round of applause. Welcome again to tonight's event. You know, this author series, it was brought to you by a collaboration between the Permian Basin Adult Literacy Center and Midland College Library. You know, the Literacy Center, you know, what their mission and what they do really is all in the name. If you don't know, they provide adult literacy services throughout the Permian Basin for adults with limited reading and writing skills, also limited English skills and limited digital literacy skills. And the Midland College Library is an official community college campus learning resources center. They've got technology and active learning. It's a knowledge hub, an academic library. I've got to say, you know, quick story. I am an alum of Midland College, go Shaps, and I spent so much time in the library. So in a way, it feels like I'm coming home from my home, and I'm just so happy to be part of this event, and I'm happy that all of you are here with us tonight. Before we get going with all of the things, a few housekeeping rules. A reminder for everyone watching, please enter any questions that you might have for Rebekah in the comments, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can and what we have time for tonight. And an added bonus, we will be announcing the winner of the PBALC Valentine's Raffle Basket at the end of this broadcast. So be sure to stick around. I know that we were playing those in the slides before we got going with tonight's event, and I've got to tell you, there are some good things in there, okay? Like all the great things that Midland has to offer is in this basket. I saw there was like over $1,300 worth of things in there. So you definitely want to see if you can maybe get yourself a raffle ticket entered into that. It's really easy if you have not bought one yet. We put it over into the chat section. So what I want you to do, if you have not bought your raffle ticket, I know most of you have, but I'm going to give you one more opportunity to do that, or maybe buy another one. You wiggle make your screen go, and there's a chat section. We've got the link posted in the chat. Spoken like a true millennial right there. Okay, my friends, without further ado, I would like to introduce Rebekah Manley. She is currently based in Austin, Texas. She is the director of the Texas Center for the Book, part of the TSLAC, Texas State Library and Archives Commission. Rebekah is originally from Midland. We will be talking about Rebekah's newly released book, Alexandra and the Awful, Awkward, No Fun, Truly Bad Dates. It is a picture book parody for adults. And I've got to tell you, I've gone through this several times, and every single time I find something new, it gives me life. It's just exactly what we need right now. Everybody, we'll do our round of applause again. I'll give a moment for it. Rebekah Manley. Hi, Rebekah.
Hi, Tatum. It's so wonderful to be here with you.
I'm so happy that you made time for us. Okay, before we get into our conversation, let's read an excerpt of the book. This is just, it's so fun. So take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think Will is going to share those pages. And I just want to say, I'm so happy to be here with y'all. This is so fun. And Midland, I do consider Midland as home. And so it's lovely to be with you, even though we're not with you. And Tatum, thank you so much for moderating this. And thank you to Midland College and the Permian Basin Adult Literacy Center for making this happen. All right, y'all. So we're just going to read a few pages from the book because we don't want to give too much away, but it is a picture book. So it's about a 3-minute read. Here we go. The first page goes like this. Single and turning 30, Alex challenged herself to hashtag 30 dates in 30 days. coffee shops, happy hours, tapas galore, and endless who's getting the check tangos. How bad could it be? And what did she have to lose? And the next one. Number one was clearly a hashtag mistake. Her date insisted she get the prime rib and that women should just accept the wage gap. Your brains are just different, he mansplained. Alex grabbed her steak to go and let him enjoy the financial success of buying her meal. Numbers 11, 12, and 16 were awkward and so hurt when she didn't trust them enough to go to their place for the first date. Those nights, she treated herself and her gut instinct to a double-decker strawberry cone, hashtag ice cream for personal safety, hashtag ready to taste romance. Hashtag drunk dates barely counted. Alex never met number 20. He was too intoxicated to find the restaurant. The next day, Mr. 21 lost track of Long Island's and passed out at the table. As hashtag 30 dates in 30 days was coming to an end, Alex was at the end of her rope. She was 30, single, and almost 30 days clear on what she did and did not want. With only one date to go, Alex was expecting the worst. ... And that's where we leave you. Thank you.
I love it. So, and I just have to say the creativity with the hashtags was just added, it was just delicious. Like seeing all of them, it's so creative. Before we get into the book itself, Rebekah, tell us a little bit about yourself and more importantly, your West Texas roots. I mean, we're always the first to say we're loud and proud about our West Texans. You've got roots here in West Texas. Tell us about it.
Oh, this is one of my favorite subjects. Actually, my twin sister and I were baptized at the Church of the Holy Trinity Episcopal Church. And our dad was one of the ministers there at the time. And Holy Trinity helped send my dad and our family to Lubbock for my dad to get his PhD in marriage and family therapy with the hopes to come back to Midland. My brother was actually born in Midland. And then, what happens with the oil, things changed and we weren't able to come back at that time. But my family, I feel like I grew up in Midland because I frequently visited with my godparents and family and special people there. And just been a part of me ever since. And I actually lived there. I've lived there at certain times in my life as well. So got a lot of roots, a lot of great memories in Midland. It's just a very special spot.
Oh, absolutely. And, I think that could be said about, for anybody that spends any amount of time in West Texas, we'll always claim you as ours, no matter where, life takes you from here. And it really is a special place. Okay, let's talk about your writing. What first inspired you?
Well, I love this question because I have a lot of inspiration from a lot of different pieces for lots of different projects. But for this one in particular, the joke is, write what you know. And I know bad dates. I know a lot of good ones too. I feel like, I feel like
imitating life or life imitating art.
Yes, great. Yes, exactly. And so, it started out as a little bit of joke, and maybe some of the free writes were just like processing bad dates because some of them are inspired by true events, and just letting it flow. And, my background's actually in children's literature. And I also wanted and have this book is for adults to write for adults. And so I kind of did this fun mashup of my experiences, things I thought were funny, something I hope was inspirational with a children's literature kind of slant.
How did you get into children's literature? You see all of these fun, creative things, going to Barnes & Noble or whatever it is where you shop for books and you see just these fun works. How do you get into that? How does one even start to dip their toe in that water?
That's such a good question. I actually have memories as a child thinking, I'm going to remember this moment because I'm looking around at these adults and they don't understand. And I want to be an adult where when I'm talking to kids, that I actually understand what they're thinking. So I sort of started absorbing, even as a child, kind of that childlike essence that I hope that I still carry with me. And I was working for Carnival Cruise Lines. It was my first job out of undergrad. And I asked myself this question, and like, what would I do if I could not fail? You know, the question that you're allowed to ask yourself. Hopefully people ask it whenever, but I asked it myself in my early 20s. And I thought, I want to write for children and adults. So I found a program that specialized in children's lit so that I could learn the genres. Like, this is a picture book, middle grade, YA, all the different genres. And I went to Hollins University in Roanoke, Virginia. So I actually drove from Midland there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then what? Where did you transition into this particular book? When did you start working on it? What was the process to get something like this going? Do you storyboard it? Do you first, oh, hey, I've got an idea, and you open up your iPhone and put it in notes? Where did that start?
Yeah, I love this question because it's hard to completely pinpoint when it first started. But what I like to tell people when I remember is Hollins University is actually home to Margaret Wise Brown, who wrote Goodnight Moon. And I think in maybe 2000, I don't know, 10 or 11, when I was living in Virginia, there was a Margaret Wise Brown parody contest. And I wrote Goodnight Swoon, which was on bad dates. And I kind of carried that with me. And I actually had forgotten about that for years. Even when this book was purchased, I'd forgotten that I had laid that kind of framework. I say I seriously started drafting and working towards this project maybe 2015, maybe 2016, just kind of drafting and kind of playing around with it. And then it really started to take form because it was one of the pieces that helped me get my agent, and she believed in the project. And that was more 2017, 2018. So it takes a long time. And then the book was sold in 2018. So books take a really long time to happen. This actually happened really fast if you look at the time frame. Normally a picture book takes about 2 to 3 years to come out after it's purchased.
A labor of love, for sure. Walk us through your process. Do you start in the beginning? Do you start in the middle? And how do you know when you're finished?
Yeah, that's a great question too. With this, when I like to talk about picture books, I like to talk about, that saying, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. And I think with picture books, if it looks like it was a breeze to write, then it probably took way more time than you can ever imagine. So the process for this was writing out all these fun dates. And originally I had about 30 of them, and it talks about 30, but as the one you saw with the ice cream, sometimes they were combined. And the original premise was also more 30 dates and 30 days after a New Year's resolution. So there's a lot of tweaking, a lot of things. The book started very long, and then it was a lot of chiseling. As picture book authors, we often kind of write it all out how we see it. And then we have to take away the pieces that the illustrator doesn't need to let them do their magic. So if I had it written like she walked outside of her green apartment, like that might be for me to visualize, but I would eliminate that because I want the illustrator to have their chance to make it come alive. So I'd say writing out all of it and then chiseling it down over and over and over and over. And how do I know when I'm done? I mean, I was making edits until right before they're like, okay, no more, because you just want to keep tweaking it.
Absolutely. Well, and I can relate to that. In news, we write, it's a little different, but at the end of the day, we're telling a story, and I just want to fit every single thing in there. And I can totally relate to the, chiseling it down. And that's just, it almost feels like a part of me is like, oh, but that's my baby. You're chiseling away. How do you make those tough decisions? I know for me, it's, quality over quantity. How do you make that decision to, maybe take a little piece out or edit this one, shorten this version? How do you do that?
Well, it's hard because like you were saying, like it becomes a part of me. And fun fact that ties into what I'm about to say is we actually have a surprise guest that's watching. So she'll probably be in the chat. The illustrator of the book, Katerina Liviara, is here. She just commented.
Oh my gosh,
That's really special.
that is.
So a lot of the illustration notes that my agent saw before she signed it, and then the editor before they bought it, we took out. Like, we didn't really want the illustrator to have to see those. And then it's up to the editor to what she wants to share with the illustrator, because Katerina is so talented and we wanted to give her space, like I said, to let the magic come alive. And we were on such, however, this was a little bit different because we were on such a tight deadline. And so it was important when she needed it or when the editor thought for me to try to fill in the blanks of like how I saw it. So I actually got a lot more insight and a lot more opportunity to share how I saw things where you don't normally have it. But there's also a lot of inside jokes that had to be explained. There are kind of hidden gems in the illustrations. And so those had to go in, but that again was at the editor's discretion and how she shared that with the illustrator. Kind of holding space, but then offering context when needed.
Oh, that is so fun. Well, I love that we have Katerina joining in, and I kind of want to bounce this off of both of you, Rebekah and Katerina. How did y'all collaborate on some of these things? And I hope everybody at home has at least, had a chance to look at the book, but there are some things in here that I just love it so much. Like, as soon as you even open the book, you've got the dating profiles here, and they're, so close. If you were to be on a dating profile, of course, you're going to see a guy posing with a fish or a guy with the sunglasses on, doing the car selfie. Of course, there's a guy skiing. It's just so spot on. Talk to me about that collaboration and how y'all came up with some of these ideas.
Oh, I love that. Well, first of all, I don't want to put Katerina in the spot because she may not be prepared to join, but she might have.
Fine.
But yeah, so I'm trying to remember if she came up with the idea to have the dating profiles. I think she did in the beginning of the book, and then she asked me to sort of start writing some of the copy. Okay. But it's like, as far as how the dates looked and what they were doing, and a lot of even the dates themselves, I might have put, this could be this, or this. I'm open. I just want it to be visually stimulating. So I know Katerina, one of her favorite illustrations is the aquarium scene. And from a lot of talks we've done together, I just wanted it, because the guy's on the phone the whole time, we wanted to be really obvious to everyone that it's not a boring date. Like he's in a place where there's a lot of fodder to visually see and to respond and be present on the date, and he's just on his phone. So that was a lot of fun.
And I think one of the things that's so impressive, and maybe people don't necessarily think every single time they pick up a book, but maybe they will after this conversation, is the amount of detail that goes into every piece of that. Just like you said, you wanted to, how do you tell that visually of, okay, there's a guy that just honestly can't get off his phone when there's so much life happening around him. How do you tell that on a single page or 2 pages? It's just, I love the amount of detail that went into this. Yeah, here it is. Here's that aquarium scene. He's just stuck on the phone. I feel like I'm doing story time. Here it is.
You are. Yeah, I like that you said that, Tatum, because I want to give another props to Katerina. Is we were on such a tight deadline, and so we definitely saw this as a book that there wasn't going to be a ton of detail because there wasn't the time. But she offered a lot of really sweet, specific details that were bonuses for the reader.
Well, we just have to give it a shout out. Props to you, Katerina. I love every single thing about it. Let's talk about really, the whole message of the book. And I think it is just so timely, really, for anyone, no matter what stage in life that they are in. what is the thing that you hope readers take from this?
I love that question. There's so much. And I don't think that people are going to maybe get it necessarily on the first few reads. But one of the things I say is this book is a funny book. I think it's great for people that are dating. Yes. But the main themes I see are friendship and empowerment. And so I hope people read this and just feel kind of just good about themselves and good about the way that they're living their best lives as much as they can right now. And just to be open without giving too much away, to sort of be open to the adventures that are calling to them while they are open to what they want. I almost said Katerina, Alexandra, the main character, she started with a mission in the book. And she executed it, and she did 30 dates in 30 days. But I like to think that she took that mission step by step and was open to where it took her, even though ultimately it may have been different than what she'd hoped. So I really hope that, I know it might seem funny because there's so few pages, but I do hope that people pick up on that encouragement, you've got this, keep going, keep living your best life. And people are behind you in that journey. That's what I hope people take away.
Absolutely. Well, and there's some sort of camaraderie, or you can bond over the shared struggle. And who hasn't had a bad date, or a few, or in Alexandra's case, 30 of them. And one of the things that I took away from it was, in order for you don't need the validation in a date or another person. Everything that you need is right here. You have it, you rock that, and all the things that are meant for you will come for you.
Yes. Yes. Can you please record that and we'll put it on the website?
Speaking with a little perspective, okay, 20-year-old Tatum would have been like, it's never going to happen, and that comes with perspective, but it's just, and it was just such a good reminder I hope that I, keep that. And I hope everybody at home, will be able to take that with them. And I think that's just such a lovely reminder.
Yeah, Tatum, and as you said that, I really wanted to touch on something. In the dedication, I talk about how dating and writing are not solitary sports, and the support that takes to do both well. It's not done in a vacuum. And I have to be careful because I don't want to give away in parts of the book, but I do want to say, I think this is a good book to get for people, to let them know that you're behind them, because that's what this book shows in a way that I'm not going to reveal.
Okay, but that means everybody needs to pick it up and read it, and then they'll know what that is. Another thing that just what made me so excited about reading this book is, and not often does this happen, or it's got to be the right book. As soon as I finished this, I had 3 or 4 girlfriends that I immediately wanted to tell about it, share it with them. And I think that's so perfect for, what tonight is. When we were talking about this event and leading up to it, we thought, one, great timing, Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day being this weekend. And, what a fun thing to share with your girlfriends. And, there's always, I would hope that every person has that, core group of people, your little pack. I've got one, Rebekah, I'm sure you do, and you bounce ideas off of them. And maybe some of your inspiration came from just, a hilarious night over, a cheese board and a little bit of wine, a fun cocktail, going, you're never going to believe the date that I just went on. And that was just another one of the fun themes that I loved coming from this book.
Well, Tatum, thank you for saying that. And I wanted to kind of harken back to what you're saying about the hashtags, because a lot of people, I'm going to give a sort of an inside scoop. A lot of people won't know this because it's not explicit, but when I wrote the book, the hashtags were actually how I envisioned the debriefs with her and her friend.
I love that.
Yeah. And so when or if this becomes a movie, I like to say when, because let's take it from there. You would see the little text bubble, with, like texting
Uh-huh.
friends. And that's how I saw it happening. It didn't lend itself that way for the illustrations, but if you think about, when you see the hashtags, you know that that's kind of her kind of letting off steam with her friends. And
Absolutely. And I love how creative they are. I mean, one of them my personal favorite that you showed at the beginning of this in one of the slides was the mistake. And she was over eating a steak, eating the ribeye with a guy. That was clever, touche. I like that. Here's a Q&A question from one of our attendees tonight. Good question. Do you plan on writing a second book? Could there be a follow-up to Alexandra? What's happening in her world? Have you explored that option?
I have, and what's fun about this is I've had some fun possibilities. We'll just put it that way. Like this second book's almost writing itself. We'll see. We'll see. It's hard to predict, what will sell or what will be the right thing at the right time. But in my own kind of fun world, I've been exploring that. Someone has said that they'd love to see a book from the perspective of the dog that she has.
That's a good idea. I hadn't even thought about that. Oh, that would be fun. And like, what's my mom doing? What is he? Yep. See, there he is. Does he have a name? I don't remember there being a name. Have you named him?
Yeah, and that's the fun part. And I'm glad you said him because you just don't know by looking. But her in my mind and heart, and like when we talked about it for the illustrations, her name was Lottie. But it's not written anywhere. And I like that. Like it's not even discussed in the text at all. She's just like a little comical sidekick.
I love it. Well, of course you have to personify the little characters and you create you've got to imagine what they're doing. I love that. Here's another one. You touched on this a little bit. Have you been on some of the dates in the book in real life?
Indeed. Some of them, yeah, I've done, and this has been a fun thing that I've done in some events and with some friends is read through the whole thing and like said which one was real and which one was fake. Yes, there's a really good one in here where the guy's like basically saying, hey, I hear you're interested in writing. Why? He's actually, the true story is he's like, I have a teenager and she doesn't read at all. And if you do, I could fit all the Library of Congress on my phone. And he took out his phone, and that's in the book. And my face, as you probably can see, doesn't hide any expression. Like what I'm thinking is what I'm thinking. And I just was shocked. And at that point, he didn't know that I work under the Library of Congress with the Texas Center for the Book. There's a Center for the Book in every state. And we're under the Center for the Book National with the Library of Congress. So like so much of what he just said was just like, wrong, like stat wrong with me. And that is true in the book. But what didn't make the book, because sometimes you feel like you can't put everything in because people won't believe it, is my face was like this. And he actually got up, his chair almost hit the ground, and he ran out of the restaurant. He's like, I'm so sorry, I think I had offended you. And he didn't even want to talk about it. And he just ran out of the date.
I love that. Hey, at least he knew he done messed up. Said the wrong thing. I remember you go, and of course, like I love like the conversation that starts because it's like, oh yeah, I went on one where I said, yeah, I'm a reporter. I do the news, and they're like, oh, that's a fun hobby. That's just something that you just want to do for a little while. It's like, and now I'm going to be the boss one day. But it's just so funny the things that people say, and the funny. You can laugh on it now, looking back at the crazy experiences that you go on, and you're speaking from one perspective or another. I love this.
I want to say something to what you just said really fast, because I
think
when people said, that's a fun hobby, like, I just want to say, take a second. It takes so much work to get to the level that you are right now. Like, to say that, it's like, maybe a fun hobby that I've worked my entire life towards. Thank you. And another piece that I laugh at, and I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I think it's funny to share, is I actually found out that I had I'd sold the book on a date. And I said, I feel like I just need to share this. Like, I just sold my first book. Like, it's a really big deal. And the guy, I think he was well meaning, but here's what he said. He said, oh, yeah, that's great. He's like, so did you just sell one book? And I said, yeah, well, in my first book ever. He's like, well, that's cool. But like, don't people normally sell like 2 or 3 at a time, like a trilogy? So it's like, all right, well, maybe you just don't get it. But my biggest accomplishment right now is not a hobby. It's actually a dream coming true. So I'm
Yes.
better than you.
So somebody wants to, buy something that you've created. That's a big thing. I love this question from one of our viewers. What is your number one dating tip based on your own dating experiences?
I like this one. I would say try as much as possible to be present in the moment. And of course, that probably goes without saying, like, you know, keep your phone out off the table if at all possible. But I think it's really easy to start to be in our own heads. And so while that person is talking, you're like thinking, okay, what's my next question? And what's my response if they ask this, this, or this?
Mhm.
And if as much as possible, you don't have to be deciding your future. You don't have to decide if you're not going to see this person again, or if you are. Just try to absorb who they are as a human, because you have another precious human being that's putting themselves out there, and they're right on the other side of you, if you're at a table, wherever. And just try to enjoy that person for whoever they are at that moment. That's something I have to remember to do, and things go better. I usually get some good friends out of it, even if we're not a match.
I love that because so often you're so conscious on, okay, what am I ordering? What am I ordering? Okay, what am I going to ask next? That you forget to really be in the moment and really appreciate that moment that you're in. And I forget this, or I would forget this, is they're probably just as nervous as I am. What can I do to they're trying so hard to make me comfortable. What can I do to make sure that they have a good time, or that and they leave this going, okay, that wasn't so bad. They're putting themselves out there too.
Absolutely. And someone asked me recently, like, it was this woman who's amazing. She's a 30-somethings coach. And she asked me what I thought that Alexandra could do better in her dates. And I
Oh,
think that that's good too to think about. And when people talk about this book, a lot of times they're like, yes, I'm gonna buy it for my girlfriends, but I think it's actually for everyone on what to do or maybe not to do in dating. And many of the dates, I think you easily could have swapped out Alexandra for Alex and still have had a very similar story, because right, we're all just showing up, and we all can do better, but we all can just enjoy the process.
well, and also, into that, also remember that with Alexandra, just as she went on, it was like, okay, what's this one gonna be? Oh, what's this one gonna be? And like you said, you enjoy the process, and you enjoy that moment, because one day you will look back on that time in your life and just go, those were the days. Yeah, and so you'll look back on it, with very fond memories, as opposed to being like, oh God, okay, what's your story, guy? That's how I
Yes.
like to think of it.
I think that's
Here's
beautiful.
here's one, and this is different than a little different. Who's your favorite author right now? What are you reading?
Oh, I love this question. Okay. Let's see. Which one to talk about? This is really hard. Okay, well, I'll be honest. I'm reading a lot of Brene Brown because I really enjoy just the idea of be courageous, authenticity. Um, I just started reading Sisters of the Undertow by Johnny. Oh gosh, I forget her last name. Johnny Bernard. She's one of my friends, and I just forgot her last name all of a sudden.
I did put you on the spot, so no worries.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Um, I I have been enjoying, I think it's good to talk about this. I've been enjoying a lot of audiobooks because during the pandemic, I found that I've been sitting all day. Normally, I'm going to lots of meetings and actually traveling a lot and doing a lot of networking, and I'm sitting all day. And so I love listening to books on my walk. And it's almost like I'm taking the character and the story out for a walk with me, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So really enjoying that. And, I've been reading a ton of books. And I don't want to name any specific, and this is on purpose because we haven't unveiled them yet. But for the Texas Center for the Book, we have our Read Across Texas coming up for 2021, where we have statewide discussions over a handful of books, and the theme is recovery. So we have I've been reading a lot of books on the theme of recovery and what that can look in all different ways. And I can't name any specifics right now because I can't give it away.
Just, everybody putting out breadcrumbs out there for, hey, something else to look forward to. I love that. Here's a fun one. What is your interesting writing quirk? Do you have to be in a certain place in your home or maybe not at home? Or do you have to wear, a certain pair of fuzzy socks? Or do you have to have a pen and it has to be a leather-bound journal? Do you have anything that like, okay, I've got to do this to get to the road?
I absolutely do. I'm going to say my fun answer second, but I'm going to say the concrete answer first. For all you creatives out there, and this doesn't have to be with just writing, I am doing this year The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. And she talks about doing morning pages where you just kind of clear your head on page. So just write for 3 pages, anything that's in your mind. That's one of the things that I found I have to do. And for the quirky thing, a lot of people that know me know I love beverages. So I normally have a minimum of 2 beverages, always an ice water, sometimes an iced coffee, and then usually a bubbly water of some sort. I just think the more beverages I have, the better I'll write.
Well, and then you won't have to get up to go grab one. That's always been one of my things. Here's an interesting one. As an author and a director of the Texas Center for the Book, where do you feel that the future of literacy, books, and publishing is going? Everything is moving fast, moving more towards the digital age. Where do you see that going next? Where are we headed?
I have a lot of hope and excitement for where we're headed. With my work at the Texas Center for the Book, we do a literacy award, which is actually really fun because PBLAC, who is part of this event, they were the first ever recipient of that award. And so we get to read nominations from across the state to see what Texans are doing to contribute for children, for adult literacy programs. And so I have a lot of hope because I see such hard work and amazing community efforts. I also know that this last year, I call them the Roaring 20s. The Roaring 20s more than ever before have really brought us back to a lot of the basics. And I see reading as a basic. You can't underestimate the power of, cuddling up with a good book or taking a book for a walk. And I say that because your question about the future is I think audiobooks are becoming more and more a part of the infrastructure. But I think people were really worried around 2009, like, the iPad, what are we going to do? Books are going to die. And guess what? False alarm. Books aren't going anywhere. People still like to hold a book. We just have more and more ways for people to grow in their appreciation of the books. And I know from personal relationships that I have friends that will have their book by their bed, but then they'll kick with them on their Kindle and they'll read the same book in multiple ways. And it just makes it more approachable to read and more feasible in our kind of crazy lives. So as you can see, I have a lot to say about the subject, but I have hope, and books are not going anywhere. They're holding strong.
Absolutely. Well, and it is something that I talked about a little bit last week with the Adult Literacy Center. The goal here is to be a lifelong reader. A lifelong reader is a lifelong learner. And I have noticed too in the last year that people, we're wanting to consume so much more. And one, for, of course, education. We want to know as much as we can about, the world around us, but also as a moment to just turn off what is happening and to escape. And a book just to offer, it opens up a whole new world, for people to, even if it's 10 minutes, an hour, you can escape what's going on around you and just enjoy something, that isn't happening here. You can go on to somewhere else. And I love that. And I think that everywhere you look, and I don't know, when I'm scrolling social media, somebody started a book club. And I love that. It's encouraging. And I've always been kind of a bookworm. I've always read. My mom, something I picked up from my mom. And so it's neat to see more people getting into it. And it's an exciting time, if I can be so bold to say, for reading and literacy just in general, and the publishing community. I'm sure that there's a lot of exciting things happening there. What was
actually, could I say one more thing? That
please.
If I were to talk about a lot of the books that I've read recently throughout the last year, I also think books can be a really powerful bridge in an approachable way to dive into subjects that may not be super comfortable. So I've been reading a lot of books on racial justice and social justice, and kind of having conversations in my mind that maybe I'm not quite comfortable having out loud, but I really want to understand. And I think books are a supreme source of empathy. And I think the publishing is responding to that. And I just wanted to say that.
I love that. Well, in the last year, we've heard a lot of the words, self-reckoning, and how do you have those conversations? That's a hard conversation to have, and you hit it right on the nose. If you want that is such a great, it's an intimate way to peer into someone else's mind and their perspective and their experiences and understand it from them. And isn't that what the goal of this past year was, especially in that realm of everything that was happening? Rebekah, what would your advice be to, say, a budding writer working on a manuscript, or somebody that would like to dive into that world? What's your advice?
I have so much, but I just say a few things. Number one, keep going. Surround yourself by creatives. There's a lot of online places where you can find a community. I'd say, I love getting my MFA, and I don't regret it. But there are a lot of programs where you can dip your toes into it, and you don't necessarily have to take that huge leap right off the bat. There's the Writing Barn. There are the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. There are communities with classes you can take to sort of whet your palate. And then also make the time. Make it public. Doesn't have to be on Facebook, but tell one person, hey, I'm writing this amount this week, whether it's 10 minutes every day or 45 minutes on Saturday. Can you ask me about it? So nurture yourself, nurture your spirit, and make sure you have someone checking in with you on your goals, because it does take goal setting. It's not just going to pour out of you.
Discipline, I'm sure. with the writing that I have to do, it takes discipline. Sit down, set a goal, or set a deadline on, okay, by this time, I get that. I can relate to that. Okay, I think we're running short on time here. As we round out our conversation, Rebekah, one final question. What are you working on right now? What's next? Or are you at liberty to let us know what's up next?
Well, I can say that something that's close to my heart that I am working on, all I can tell you is it is for teens. So stay tuned. And I also have some multiple books that I am still, that we have for children and then adults, some more comedic parodies that we will see what happens, got to keep working and putting it out there and seeing who needs what and what will stick. But my current project is actually for teenagers.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well, just know that you have a whole community, a host of people just rooting you on, and we can't wait to see what you do next, because we're going to be looking and watching, and we can't wait to purchase it. If anybody at home has not had an opportunity to buy Alexandra and the Awkward, No Fun, Truly Bad Dates, how can they do that? I know there's several places. That the Barnes & Noble in Midland is one place you can go if you want to stop by and support one of our local shops, where else? How can people get the book?
Yes, I've loved the plug for Barnes and Noble. You can kind of get it anywhere. Target, uh,
That's
I
just so exciting.
Yeah, it is. You can find it anywhere. I will say I'd love for people to go to my website, which is RebekahManley.com, because I have you can easily click on where you want to buy the book. But also for the month of February, because people have requested this and it just hasn't been possible to do in-person signings. I am willing to purchase the book, which means I order it because I only have one copy right now. And I will sign it and send it anywhere in the United States. So there's a form for that on my website. And if you don't want that, if you just want to get it from wherever, I also have a form that will never go away where I can send you a signed book plate. So I'd say find your favorite, local place and support them. And I thank you for that. And thank you for sharing my book with those that you think could use them.
Where else can people connect with you? What's your social media handles and all those fun things? Where else can we find you and you see the fun things that you're working on?
Yes, well, I'd love to connect with you on Twitter and Instagram. It's Rebekah A. Manley. And then on Facebook, it's Rebekah the Writer. Again, I think if you just Google Rebekah Manley and whatever social media you want to find, I'd love to connect with you there. I also have this information on my website as well. But I'll enjoy on my website too. I have lots of goodies like coming up. I have a whole little set of fun Galentines you can send to your friends, cocktail recipe cards, a singles registry if you've just if you've gotten to enjoy a lot of wedding showers and baby showers and bridal showers, but you want a few special things for yourself. I have that on my website too. I hope people really enjoy that because I have gifts that I've designed specifically for people that just want a little fun in their lives right now on my website.
That is so fun. I love that. Well, again, Rebekah, thank you so much for sharing your time and your talents and letting us pick your brain a little bit tonight. It has just been just lovely. I've enjoyed every second of it. Thank you.
I have had so much fun, Tatum, and thank you, Midland. I wish I could have a whole hour to talk about the ways that Midland has supported me in this dream of becoming an author. You're so special to me, and I really appreciate your support. And I hope we can do like an in-person signing one day so I can meet more of y'all. So thank you.
We'll be sure to make that happen. And we are just so proud of you and all the fun things that you're working on. Okay, before we round out the night, everybody, we have to talk about the raffle. We've got a raffle ticket winner. Okay, everybody at home, do your little drum roll. If we were in person, this is what we would be doing. Beth Meeks, you are the winner of the Valentine's basket raffle. I'm going to read the screen a little bit. Oh, this package is worth over $1,100. Look at all the things you can see a little bit. We've got some Kendra Scott included in this. The Odessa Marriott, something happening there. If you have not been, you need to go ASAP. Also, a wonderful contribution from the Woodhouse Day Spa Black Tulip Design. I love their flowers. So congratulations to Beth Meeks. I hope that you are looking and watching and you are just at home doing your little happy dance. Again, for Beth, this one's for you. The Permian Basin Adult Literacy Center, she will message you to arrange to pick up or even ship that over to you. So be on the lookout for a message from them. You can also further support the Permian Basin Adult Literacy Center and their adult literacy program by making a donation. I'm going to give you their URL, and they're so worthy of any sort of gift contribution that you might be felt called to give. Their website, I almost said email, their website, go visit them at pbalc.org. They are just such a wonderful local nonprofit, and we know our local nonprofits need all of the support that they can get, especially after this year, and they do such important work in our community. And that wraps up our program for the night. Thank you so much to everyone who joined in. I hope that you stay safe. We've got a cold front coming in, not to give you a news report, but we're going to end it on a news report-ish. Tune in to News West 9 at 10. We'll give you that. It's going to be cold. over the next few days. But hey, everybody, have a great night. Be safe. I can't wait to see everybody again very soon.
Thank you.